All right. Value Nation. Do we have a good one for you today? You're going to want to call your friends. You're going to want to share the link. You're going to want to listen. You're going to want to take notes. You're going to want to remember this one. This one's relevant for you. We're not talking about appraisals and mortgages. We are talking about what you want to know buying houses right now in today's markets. Do you know a friend? I want to buy a house, but rates are too high. I want to buy a house, but home prices are too high. The news says it's a terrible time. Where do I even start? We are here to answer all those questions today. We got a special guest, the man out there, boots to the ground, driving probably 200 miles a day, serving the people, helping them find their houses, Mr. Nate Dogg, Sugar Bear, Nathaniel Priest. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
What an intro. That was awesome.
Right?
Thank you.
Man, I'm feeling good about that one. I really get into the intros.
That couldn't have been off the cuff. You had to have jotted down some notes for that one.
There's just 4 little notes. That's it.
Just post it. Hey, yo, it counts.
Super professional.
That's clutch.
I love it.
Mr. Nathan Priest. All right, man. So realtor here in the Kansas City area. Welcome to the show. Glad you're on.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to dive right in, man. Dive right in. People want to know what's actually going on in today's market. So let's just dive into it. How long you've been doing this? Take us through maybe like a quick little timeline of your real estate career and your journey and where you are now and what's going on now.
Yeah. So my senior year of college is when I got my real estate license and never looked back. And that was in basically 2003 is when I became licensed. So right at 20 years in the business. And came out of the gate really doing pretty amazing. And then 2008 happened, and there was a lot of reality checks and hard decisions that had to get made along the way. But then kind of came out of it and grabbed market share. Came out the backside pretty strong. So 20 years in real estate. Got the start by some guy saying, "Hey, I want you to sell new homes for me." So I was like, okay, let's do it.
Figure it out as we go, huh?
Yeah. How long have you always been with the same shop, or did you bounce around a little bit?
No. So I was working at Sherwin-Williams paint stores my senior year of college, and there was a developer who would always come in and I'd help him out all the time. And he just was like, "You need to come work for me." And he was with a Coldwell banker. And, I told my wife about it, and she signed me up for online courses at the time. I think we still had like the dial-up internet in the online course.
The old AOL dial-up. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but 3 weeks later, I was licensed after that, and he got the development going, sold a few houses, and then I don't know if Mike knows the name Bill Baird. He started a company called Infinity Realty. He's now the mayor of Lee Summit. And I was kind of friends with him through my brother. And so he's like, "Hey, I want you to come out here. We got some new home developments we're working on." So literally 6 months into my license, having my real estate license, I switched companies from Coldwell Banker to a company called Infinity Realty. And we started several new developments. That's what brought me to Raymore in 2005. That's where Mike and I met. But in 2005, came out of the gates having fun. And then 2007, sales started sucking. And then everything went down the tubes. And during that time, that consumed Infinity Realty. In about 2010, I started talking with Lonnie Granson. And we kind of joined forces at Keller Williams in 2011. And Lonnie and I, ran through Cass County pretty good there for about 4 or 5 years. And then I guess it was 2017, 2018 is when I started SNP Real Estate. And still part of Keller Williams Southland. Keller Williams is great. The education, people coming out of the gate, if you want to know how to get started, Keller Williams is the place to be. If you want to grow a big business, Keller Williams is the place to be as well. So
seen some people out there on the way we were talking about earlier, out on social media, flaunting their Keller Williams logo, specialized logos and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got the luxury logo, the land logo. I'm not good at the flaunting stuff. I more like to connect with people and figure out what I can do to help people achieve their goals. And hopefully they'll see that they're talking with somebody who knows what knows what they're doing and will help them achieve their goals.
Hopefully. So you started with a builder. So did you kind of enjoy that part? Like, do you still like the ground up construction business, or do you now dabble in a little bit of everything? I mean, I guess you kind of have to, right?
Yeah, you do. Like, so I ran, I think, 4 new home developments throughout my career. And I did a lot of that work on my own. And those are very time consuming. And so if you want weekends for golf or family, new home subdivisions is a hard thing to run. So I've kind of got away from the new home construction stuff. We built a few houses on a speculative basis. I would never do a custom build job for me because building a spec house, you can kind of move forward, move fast, and not wait for decisions. Number one, and then number two, like I built a couple of houses last year when lumber prices went nutso. Like a 4x8 sheet of plywood went from $12 to $80, and of course that's what I'm building. But if you would have been building a house for a custom build job and didn't have a clause in there, you already got a set price, and your lumber bill comes in $40,000 high. There goes all your profit. So I'm really glad I didn't do any custom, and I was able to set the price once all the construction was complete. And so but ground up takes a long time. 6 to 9 months till you get paid as a realtor. It's not for everybody.
That's rough. Yeah, that's not for everybody.
Yeah, but if you have them stacked and you got them, once they start closing, they're nice, right? So you start a subdivision in January of 23, all of a sudden, you're gonna have a great Christmas. So, but you better be selling some other stuff along the way.
Oh yeah, for sure. So with the current housing market, is the way it is, right? With the low inventory, the high interest rates, all the things we get slammed across the head every single day in our business. From your point of view, like what are the biggest like hurdles or roadblocks that you're facing, or and how are you working around them with your borrowers?
So in terms of representing, we'll start on the seller side, if you will. The biggest roadblock I'm running into, and I think the term out there is a mortgage handcuff or handcuff mortgage, where somebody's got a 2%, 3% rate, and their house has gone up tremendously in value, and they're in a position where they're ready to move up. They're like, I can't give up this rate. Like, it's going to cost me. And so we're calling that the mortgage handcuff, where sellers just like, I'm not going to list my house because I can't replace it. And a $450,000 house with principal, interest, taxes, insurance, all that stuff is going to run you about $3,500 a month, right? And so they're sitting there with their $1,500 a month payment, and they could sell it and probably make $100,000 more than they ever expected, but that just goes to the down payment typically to try and get PMI gone or whatever the case may be. So the mortgage handcuff's probably the number one problem for sellers getting off the bench. But at the same time, homes get listed every day. People got to sell for whatever reason. So there's business out there to be had, and you just gotta put your name out there and ask for business.
So there's something I've seen a guy on a video, I forget who it was, explaining it this way, and I guess it would be more for a buyer who's hesitant, but also in that same scenario you just said, where you have a house, you kind of want to sell and upgrade, go bigger, but that exact scenario you just said about the monthly payment going up. So let's use $400,000 for an example. I want you to tell me if this is accurate. So right now, buying a house, $400,000, and you say, well, no, interest rates are too high, that monthly payment's too high. But let's say a year and a half from now, interest rates normalize, drop down to maybe 5.5%, 5%, and you refi. The problem is the low inventory still isn't going away. So if rates do drop, that $400,000 house in a year and a half from now could possibly be selling for 460, 465, because
you're absolutely 100% right. So
you would have only paid $5,500, $6,000 more because of the high interest rate during that time period. So then you refi, knock your payment down, versus paying $60,000 more for that house a year and a half. So you've actually came out way ahead by buying now versus when everybody floods the market again because all of a sudden rates are low. It's
100% accurate. So in that scenario, we'll take a step back just one. So I also do some real estate investing, have a little bit of a portfolio, and I've been investing since 2005, basically. And every time I look back, I don't even have to look back 10 years. Let's just say 3 years, 5 years realistically. The only thing that I'm upset about is I didn't buy more property. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes me mad. Doesn't matter what's going on. Like through 2008 through 2012, that's a 4-year span. I consider 8 where the drop really started, and 12 was kind of the floor, and things started bouncing back up. If that's what you guys agree with, but the properties I bought during that time are still some of the best properties in my portfolio, right? And it's like, why didn't I buy 20 more? So it's kind of to speak to that a little bit, Mike, in terms of if somebody chooses to wait, you don't get that time back. You just don't. Mm-hmm. That time's gone. And then, in my opinion, we got like a 5-month window right now. Real estate has seasonality to it, right? School starts. People start getting ready for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. That run is just naturally a slower time in real estate. And so we're starting to see some price drops and things like that that we weren't seeing 2 months ago. And obviously what price point you're in plays a role. The lower the price point, the more competitive it is. And I'll touch on that here in a second. But if you can go and buy a house without having to go 10% over right now, and yeah, you're going to have a rate somewhere in the 7s. But what happens when that same house comes down to 5%? The prices will go up. It's all about monthly affordability, 100%. So, and there's so many lenders out there that have really great refinance programs and no cost refis and things like that. They're setting themselves up because we all expect rates to kind of come down in the next. I expect it maybe closer to the end of 24, but let's call it 12 to 18 months. We all expect rates to settle in the mid 5s, low 6s, where it should be, right? So those house prices are going to go up by 10% because the cost to build the new construction, you can't go buy a brand new house in our area, which is I'm going to consider a pretty conservative area price point wise. For less than $400,000, a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage, split entry, that's $400,000. If you're trying to buy something under $400,000, I'd be buying everything I could right now. Or, get something new and nice. So,
that house in my neighborhood is like $750, $800 all day.
And see, that's what's hard about the real estate is just the market through, coastal city versus middle of what people consider Cowtown. So
best barbecue you ever had, baby.
That's some good barbecue.
Yeah. You're always claiming about the Kansas City barbecue. One of these days I got to get there and try it.
Come on out. We could do a live show here in Kansas City at one of the barbecue places. We'll go to
now we're thinking.
Go to like Casey Joe's or probably Joe's. Yeah, we could hit a couple. Do a little. Yeah.
I like where this is going.
Yeah,
I'm hungry now.
A little barbecue marathon.
Let's do it.
So we kind of just touched on it, but so like, what advice do we have to people who are wanting to buy but they're scared? How do we get people out there maybe to call their realtor that they know and say, hey, I want to pull the trigger, but I'm scared to do it. What do you
like somebody who doesn't have a house currently, or somebody who has a house and they're wanting to upgrade? Because that's a little bit of a different conversation. But
I say someone that's locked in rent right now, and rental rates have gone up across the country too. First time home buyers are way down, right? So how do we get the younger millennial generation? I'm on the very beginning of it. That millennial generation to become first time home buyers.
Yeah, how do you get them out of the basement of their parents' house?
Well, be nice.
Well, it starts with number one. The sooner you buy a house, the better. Like the time aspect is part of everything we do in life, not just real estate, but it's extremely important in real estate, in my opinion, because you just can't get any of that time back, right? And going and buying a house is the number one thing. There's all kinds of studies out there, like somebody's net worth who has been a homeowner the majority of their life is, multiple six figures, where a renter's net worth is usually like 20 grand or something like that. I can't remember all the studies, but you see that. And that's based on the equity of their home. It really is. So number one, if you have any ambition of having net worth, real estate's the quickest, easiest, most encouraged way. If you're a younger buyer, you can sell it every 2 years and get tax-free capital gains, all that type of stuff, right? So if you could get in your mind, I'm going to pay what it costs to get a house because I know it's the right decision for me and my potential family in the future. If I'm already started a family, interest rates, it's a couple $100 a month more than maybe what you want, but you're going to look back and be like, what was a couple $100? It was almost irrelevant. I'm old enough. My first house, back in the 80-20 days, that was a big deal. Get it 80% first, 20% second, and get the seller to pick up $5,000 in closing costs. That's how I got my first house. And so I think my first mortgage was 6.875. My second was almost 9, and it was irrelevant. I sold it in 2 years. Made about $75,000, parlayed it into the next one, So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it gets you in the game. Like people are so scared to get in the game, but once you're in the game and you figure out, okay, maybe I have to make a sacrifice here, there, cancel a Netflix account or back off on the cable or something to be able to afford that couple $100 a month. But 2 years down the road, you are going to be thanking yourself.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to see, like you said, your equity, how much that house is worth now compared to what it was when you bought it. If you wanted to sell, you could sell and move to something else and make a little money for a down payment on a nicer house. The first one's never usually your dream home. That's your starter. That's getting you in the game. It's almost like buying stock. And, the first couple of years of playing with the stock market is boring, right? But then all of a sudden you start seeing things tick, tick, tick after you've been dumping money into. You're like, oh, God, okay, I got something here. It's the same thing with buying a house.
Same thing with buying a house, except for you got to live somewhere, and mom and dad's basement is not the coolest place to be typically.
And putting money in somebody else's pocket by paying rent every month.
I don't know what the interest rate is. Do you guys know what the interest rate is for how much of that do you get back when you pay your rent? Do you get anything back? No, that's 100% interest. You're going to be paying to live somewhere. You're going to be paying to live somewhere.
Yeah.
You have no tax shelter of any kind when you rent. If you make improvements to your house, there's some tax strategies that you can do to improve your cash flow to help cover up that interest, just because the U.S. government says, hey, we want to encourage home ownership and we're going to offer some tax incentives to do so. So if you're strategic about it, you can kind of fight back. But, 100% interest when you're renting sounds way more expensive than a 7.5% house on a $300,000 house, and the payments really aren't that different. So, if you're renting a 3-bed, 2-bath house, like 1965 ranch, I happen to own a bunch of those. I rent those for between $1,500 and $1,750. And you go buy that. If I go sell that house, it's like a $275-ish type house. And your payment's about $1,900. So with a 7.5% interest rate. So
he's not wrong. I hope the people listening, they get it. I hope so.
And what's crazy is one of the biggest problems. This is a weird tangent on the subject, but one of the biggest problems that kind of is facing the market right now is the low inventory. Whereas people not wanting to sell, being more mortgage handcuffed, what you said earlier. But then also I look around like where we live, right? This was always like the town area we live in was always predominantly a single family resident, not many businesses, like there's a term for that.
Bedroom community.
There it is. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden the past year, most of the new building in the area, there's been 3 new apartment complexes getting built.
3 new apartment complexes.
There's row houses.
3 new townhouse developments as well.
Row house developments.
We've got 1 million of those too.
The new bit, so if you're a contractor, if you're a builder, what's going to get you the most money and bang for your buck? When people need places to live, you're going to build apartment complexes because you could stack so many more people and so many more units on a small space than doing a suburban development, like a single family neighborhood. right? I mean,
so there's a little bit of that going on. That's true. You're talking about density, and when you put more things under one roof, you have less cost per square foot, right? So that's all facts. Another thing that has to be mentioned when you're talking inventory is all the institutional buyers who have entered the market. They've slowed down their buying as rates have gone up. They've maybe bought some investments, but they pretty much consumed every property that they could get, at least in our area, I'm sure in North Carolina as well, sub 200 if they could get their hands on. And when Mike buys his first house, that's a, $200,000 house, in 3 to 5 years, he's going to be selling that house and going and moving up. Well, that first time home buyer house has essentially been removed from the market forever. Okay. So Mike, when he's going to sell his first time house in 3 years, the institutional buyer comes and buys it, and it's essentially going to be a rental in perpetuity until that asset manager says so. The cost to reproduce a 3-bed, 2-bath split, if you're going to buy one of those, is now $400,000, as we discussed. So there's that gap that we're talking about. We're not replacing the inventory that was consumed by the institutional buyer. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that puts pressure on the inventory piece. The inventory is out there, and there's lots to be built on, but you better be prepared to spend north of $500,000 in our market, which, our market, let's consider last year when I achieved luxury status with Keller Williams, a luxury sale.
You got your baller logo.
Yeah, exactly. I got the magazine I should bring in here for you, but that luxury status is like $750,000 is what it was set at 2 years ago when we earned that recognition, right? So, realistically, that's just a nice 2,500 square foot, 2-story, 3-car garage house now, where 750 used to get you a little more bang for your buck, right?
Quite a bit of bang for your buck. In our market, we're talking.
So is that for your market? Is that where did Jumbo start? Like, what's
They just raised it. It used to be $615,000. What they raised it to, 7.25, I think.
Yeah, so, it's in the sevens.
Yeah,
that's it. Right.
But yeah, the jumbo market is, to be honest with you, get better rates there right now anyway. I want to encourage people to be buying in the jumbo market. So
we'll say, you talk about people just need to be a little more aggressive when they're looking around in the market and they want to get into a home. And I have a great short story of that is one of my wife's friends, they live a little bit further out, a little more land, and they want to move back into a little more almost, quote unquote city kind of suburban area, right? Yeah. So this lady, she's somewhat aggressive. She's driving through a neighborhood, sees a house that she likes. She wrote the address down, went home and wrote that person a letter and said, I want to move out of my house by this time in 2024. Will you sell me your house?
Oh, wow.
And the lady said yes.
The answer is always no if you don't ask.
That's exactly what she said. She goes, you don't know unless you ask. And I'm like, you have some stones on you, and I applaud you, because you drive by a million houses and you're like, wow, I'd love to live there, but they're never going to sell. Well, you got to ask them.
That's a little bit of a unicorn story.
100%. It's a big unicorn. It's a big unicorn. However, but you know what? It just made my head explode, because, people talk about the inventory and while you're talking about builders picking up properties, or the REITs picking up investment properties and they own. Mike, we had an episode about that with a private money and the non-QM way back in season 1, I think it was, of ValuNation.
The institutional buyers have really, really, really slowed down. Almost
they have now.
In the Kansas City market, in the St. Louis market, it's maybe 1 to 2% of the market, where it was probably almost 40% of the market at one point.
Yeah. And that's what we found. When things were really humming along, right after COVID, and these guys were scooping up properties left and right, when you compare those larger REITs and institutions versus the private money, so to speak, investors like yourself, those institutions own something like 55 to 65% of across the country. You know, they're just gobbling them up left and right.
It's kind of scary when you say it out loud.
Yeah, it's real scary because you know they're not going to go there; they're going to sit on.
So got to take the power back, and the people got to buy the houses, and that's who we're talking to. So be
money.
more aggressive and get out there and buy that first house. I would promise you, in a couple of years, you're not going to regret it.
They're going to be, Schwo, thank you so much for encouraging me to do this. I got an extra 50, 60 G's I wasn't counting on.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
Fake Schwo. Schwo knows.
Schwo knows. So
we thought about putting that on a t-shirt.
As you're talking about inventory, that was kind of interesting. You know, the short-term rental business, there's a lot of municipalities who are kind of ixnaying that. And a lot of these people paid, you know, for houses in a competitive market with, you know, pro formas that were short-term rental, not long-term rental based, where short-term rental obviously make a lot more money on a monthly basis than you do a long-term rental. So I can see a lot of those STRs where communities are banning them or requiring licensure, and the only people who can get licensed are grandfathered in from being there already. So that might be an opportunity for somebody who's driving around to find out where the STRs are, call those owners directly, be like, hey, I saw Kansas City took out you gotta have this, and this. And if you don't have it, I really like the house. I think it's great. And you can even go rent it for a week and see if you like it, I guess. But
hop on Airbnb the second you get the news and see what's listed in that town. And those are going to be opportunities to buy houses. We got to get creative in today's market.
I just gave myself a listing idea of how to go find listings.
That's the move. Look, we're just helping you now. And look, you're not wrong though, because like we do a lot of STR appraisal. For a number of like non-QM private money, obviously. And there's been a lot more of those hurdles, if you will, over the last, I don't know, 6+ months coming from municipalities saying, hey, we only have X amount of licenses. This dude's coming from somewhere else. He doesn't have a license. Can't do it. Or they're just, you know, cutting them out altogether. They have to be an LLC, all the things. Like there's a whole list of them.
The STR game is a little bit of the Wild Wild West, right?
1,000%. It's not a little bit. It's 1,000%. I don't know how they're underwriting. It really is. But there's a lot of lenders who won't touch it.
And the people who, but from a people who own them standpoint, I think a lot of people got into it just because there was so many TikToks about owning STRs, and they don't even know what they're doing. Poorly managed.
So many TikToks like that. That was been the push on my. You know, I watched TikToks like an adult. On Instagram, 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later on Reels. But yeah, it's just been like how to make $5,000 a month. This is how I made $10,000. I bought this property, I bought this property, I did this, and I did that. And everybody's like, oh, it's easy. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not that easy.
So, you know, when you're talking to a client about selling their house, you know, are you providing any like tips or tricks for them to make it, you know, more attractive to get someone, you know, off the fence, so to speak?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You'd be amazed at what some new carpet and a fresh coat of paint can do to how the market receives your property. Right. Sure. Yeah. So to me, everybody has their own appetite for what they're willing to do or not do. But a lot of people out there, a lot of realtors like such as myself, and I know hundreds, thousands probably have the same type of scenario where I have relationships with different vendors. And we can go ahead and get, you know, a paint job done and carpet put in, and then you just sign a contract with the contractor, and all of a sudden, when your house closes, is when you pay them. Usually, the biggest hurdle is you know, if it's going to take 10 or 15 grand to get the house where it's at, but that's going to create, you know, 30 to 50 grand more in sales price. It's like, yeah, I want to do that, but I just don't have the 15 grand. You got equity in your home more than likely in today's environment. And we just have the relationships we've built over time that allow us to kind of cover that hurdle with a 0% interest type feel.
That's awesome. That is a very smart move. Business-wise, to make those kind of connections.
That was one of those moments where you should be writing this down because
100%.
That is excellent advice right there. Because
I will write that down.
If you're afraid to sell or think you're not going to get enough because like a railing is all worn and messed up or like something's wrong with
I don't qualify for FHA. Well, in about 10 minutes you will.
So. Yeah, get the work done before the house hits the market, and You know a good realtor like Mr. Priest over here.
Well,
he's
I
got
think
those
if you're considering selling your house and you got a few, like, okay, I raised a couple of young boys and gone through 2 dogs. I need to make these updates. That's a good question to ask your realtor when you're interviewing, trying to decide who you're going to work with. Ask them those types of questions and then there's other times where I'll just say, hey, listen, I'm not willing to recommend you spend $1 if I can't get you at least $2 back, right? And so I think you can sometimes be a little more strategic, price it a little lower than maybe what the market is, and you almost create an auction effect if there's just more to be done than just your quick fresh up, right? So
I want to buy a house with you now.
Let's do it.
Make me feel so comfortable. Are you ready for some rapid rush requests?
Is it
some rapid what?
Oh, he's nervous. Look at his face.
Yeah, rapid rush requests.
Okay.
All right, baby. Rapid rush requests. We need this appraisal back yesterday. It's a rapid rush, man. We need this thing now. All right, man. So I already know the answer to this question, and it's going to make Charlie very happy. But we ask everybody, is it an Android or is it an iPhone? Which one are you using?
Much to the chagrin of my wife and kids, I'm Android strong.
Team Green Dot. Man, Nathan, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Team ruiner of group texts.
I'm ruining group texts across the world.
I know. Listen, that is our cross to bear now. I almost just like to do it on purpose.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, pretty salty golfer here on the pod.
Depends on what day.
Yeah, pretty salty out there. Lefty too. He swings from the wrong side.
Hey, this guy too. Look at, we're kindred spirits, man.
We are. This is awesome.
What put together your dream golf foursome for me? They could be alive or dead. So you and 3 others. What is your dream golf?
Ooh, that's a deep one there. I like to have fun on the golf course, and this is just off the hip, so I can't say this is what it would be for sure. But I gotta start with my boy Ethan. I gotta have
bringing E money out there.
Yeah, we have too much fun. And then just because I think it'd be really fun to watch everything, I would probably go with Schwo, another guy on the podcast here, and John Daly.
John Daly, there we go.
Round it out with John Daly.
The 3 of us and John Daly.
Oh, just watching you and John Daly go back and forth would be worth the price.
You guys would be crawling off the course. Like, he wouldn't make it through.
We'll be all right. We're seasoned veterans.
Ethan's got his driver's permit now, so we're good.
You
gotta be able to get home.
Responsible will be responsible. You can take us all home.
Yeah, that's probably, everybody's expecting no Tiger, Jack, or something. But no, I like to have fun out there, man.
So you played college baseball, correct?
I did.
And you, if I remember correctly from some stories, you played against one Albert Pujols.
I did. So going through high schools, when we played against each other.
It was in high school.
Yeah, he went to Fort Osage, and I was in Raytown, and so we'd play each other twice during the school year, and then we had Legion Ball, and we were in the same division as we were post 71 and they were post 21. So I played against him probably like 20, 25 times. And
don't you have an Albert Pujols story, like a good play?
I got a few good ones. So I thought I would the first time I ever faced him. We'll just do this one. I thought I was really good, right? Lefty. I had a little bit of heat, not much, a little bit of heat, but I thought I was good. And we had heard Pujols is amazing, whatever, but I hadn't faced him. And he was the third batter. I had gotten the first 2 guys out, and then he comes up, and my catcher, good friend of mine, he's the best man at my wedding, whatever. He wants me to throw a curveball. I'm like, nah, man, I'm throwing an inside fastball. So I pump a fastball in, and he hits the ball so hard, it never gets above my head, and I'm short, and it slams into the fence fast. And before it hits and is rolling back, and before it hits, I turn around, my catcher, his name's Jeff, is on me. He's like, we are never throwing him a fastball again. Knuckleball. I created a knuckleball just to try and throw something at him that he hadn't seen. But he was a man amongst boys for sure. And I always thought he would end up being great, but who knew he would go down as one of the best hitters ever? In my mind, he's one of the best hitters ever. Longevity.
So have you heard the rumors like that people are almost convinced that they faked his birth certificate and that when he was in high school, he probably graduated high school instead of at 18 years old, maybe like 22 years old or 23 years old.
Yeah.
And
what, for real? That's a story?
Because it's not real what you're saying. So where I ended up graduating from, my roommate for a while was a center fielder for the team he grew up, Fort Osage and post 21. And I think they've done a really good job of keeping that tight. Yeah. I can't prove or deny, but there was a drunken night conversation. I was like, "There's no way."
Exactly. Yeah. Which, if you go to the end of his career, last season he went on that hot streak to get over 700 home runs.
Amazing.
He's 43 years old right now. So according to records. So if he was really 46, 47, that makes it
that's even better story.
Makes it that much more impressive that he was that age and still cranking out homers there at the end. That's one.
Yeah. No, Pujols was an absolute stud.
All right, so this is a tough one. I've never asked this. You have to eliminate one and you cannot have it again.
Okay.
Pizza, cheeseburgers, or tacos?
Probably.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I guess I don't like your question.
It's a tough one, isn't
it? I guess tacos, but then I guess eliminate tacos, but I don't like those because burgers are so convenient, right? They got the grab and go at the course as you're making the turn. Like, how do you? I guess tacos for that absolutely silly question.
No, that's a tough. We're gonna keep that one, dude. That's a good one.
That's a good one. I like your rationale on it. Yep. Thank you, Nate. Unless you got any one last message to the people, we appreciate you coming on, man. It's been good info.
Don't live your life in fear. Go out and do what's right in your heart. That's it. So,
amen.
Charlie, it's absolutely my pleasure to meet you, man. Hopefully you do make it up to KC. We'll try some barbecue and all the other fun activities Mike has planned.
Oh yeah. I know he'll have a good list.
Yes.
We'll have a good time for sure. I'll get down there.
All right. Well, you guys go out and crush it the rest of the day, okay?
Thanks, man. You too.
You do the same, brother.
Oh man, that was a great guest. Good episode.
Dog bringing it.
Senor Nathan Priest.
It's like what did Ice Cube say? It must be a hit when Nate Dogg's singing on it.
There you go. Yep.
This
dropping bars.
Back to ValuNation, Gangsta Nation. It's from that song.
Gangsta Nation. That is eventually going to be. We're going to pay for the rights for that.
We need it, Jordan. We
need it, Jordan. Jordan. All right. Well, we hope everybody enjoyed it just as much as we did. Go out and like and subscribe. Click that little icon for all the notifications to pop up when we're dropping some new episodes. We got some new reels coming out on IG. We got lots of little things to sprinkle into your day. Bring a smile to your face.
Share this episode. Share this. If you know somebody who needs to buy a house and you've been telling them or they talk about it, share this episode. Maybe they
tell a friend.
Get some good information from this one. I heard something that maybe is going to sway him to pull the trigger.
Agreed. And if you're looking in the KC market, we got a realtor for you.
Nate Dogg's the man. I'm telling you.
I mean, I'm ready to buy. Let's go.
He's helped me twice.
All right, man. I think that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Peace. Thank you. Peace.
No, thank you.